we were in the middle of filming tutorials and we got into this conversation of vocal hacks that don't work and how frustrating as vocal coaches that is for us to re-educate on what actually does work and why these things that singers come in to us saying they do don't work.
Let's go.
Menthol cough drops. Everybody sucks them when they're sick, but a lot of singers suck on them when they're not sick, and they think that it's lubricating their vocal cords.
But wait a minute, because Grandma said when you need it, you know, lubrication, you get a cough drop. When you're sick, it makes you feel like there's moisture there. So what's wrong with it?
When you're sick, it's not a bad thing. You're probably not going to be singing when you're sick anyway, right? But when you're well, especially when you're well, a lot of singers think that it helps with lubrication. Yes, your salivatory glands are in overdrive because there's flavor and it's producing saliva. So you think that you're being lubricated, but actually menthol is a drying agent. So you're literally drying yourself out from the inside, but you don't want that. It's a quick feel-good Band-Aid on a bigger problem. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're well, it doesn't do you any good. It's literally just drying you out.
Make amends with Grandma.
Grandma misinformed you. Now, you can do cough drops, you guys, but I recommend glycerin-based cough drops and not menthol cough drops. So just watch the ingredients. You don't want citrusy cough drops because it does the same thing. You don't want menthol. Get a glycerin-based cough drop. Suck on that all you want. I have seen this in person, in living flesh, okay? When I was doing Broadway, they had this craft services table backstage, and before the beginning of each show, one by one, cast member would go and they would honey, lemon, and then be like out the backstage on stage.
Wait a minute, Tara. So as long as I have been alive, I have seen people taking the spoonfuls of honey and drinking the honey. I see Mariah Carey behind stage drinking it. She was voted, the best singer in the millennium? So you're trying to tell me that Mariah Carey has it wrong?
Yes.
Ooh.
And here's why. Lemon, honey, and ginger, they are all antibacterial. If you are backstage sick and you go to ingest those, that will help your body over time because it's an antibacterial. Mm-hmm. And you may have a placebo effect that you're doing something immediate. You may feel because you are swallowing that there's lubrication there, but when you swallow anything, it doesn't actually touch your vocal folds. I don't know if a lot of you know that, but like anytime you ingest something and you swallow, the actual act of swallowing is what helps. This raise and lowering of the larynx is what helps, not what goes through it, because it doesn't actually touch the vocal folds.
What I'm hearing you say is that it would actually be more effective to do lip trills than to drink honey before you go on stage.
Absolutely, because lip trills warm up your larynx. There's vibratory action going on, so there might be gunk within the airways and or vocal folds that would be vibrated off. Mm-hmm. And it is relaxing as well. Mm-hmm. So that's something actionable that you can do that will actually help in that moment. Mm-hmm. And if you want to learn how to do lip trills among other amazing exercises, get into Nikki's schedule, link below. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but this is rampant in live performance. Taking shots of alcohol or taking drinks in general during or before or after singing, it couldn't be worse for your voice.
But I mean, I have heard people do that because they're trying to stable their nerves and they don't want to make a fool out of themselves and they're shaking and they just take a shot and they're a little bit more mellow. That's
okay, but there's a difference between mellowing your nerves out and helping your voice. And if they're calling this a vocal hack, like, oh, I gotta have this before I sing, well, is it for your brain or is it for your voice box? Because this does not need that. In fact, just like menthol, it's worse. It's alcohol. It dries out your cords like crazy. And yes, you may say, oh, well, I like the rasp that I get, even from smoking or from drinking while I perform. That's cool. I give you 10 years tops, because if you are playing 4-hour shows with 15-minute breaks, which is the standard live performance game, and you are smoking and you are drinking, you will be a very lucky anomaly if you last more than a decade doing that. You will be toast, your voice will be so shot, and that gravel and grit that you love about your voice, it will be involuntary. You won't be able to get it out, and it'll only grow with time.
So it's like a old rubber band, basically.
An old, crusty, dried out rubber band.
What you're saying is at a certain point, there's nothing you're going to be able to apply to make it moisture, bring that elasticity back. And that's basically what you're doing to your vocal cords.
I mean, over time, yeah. You can try to reverse it, but I mean, that's surgery at that point if it's gone on too long. That crusty, dried out rubber band, imagine trying to stretch that. There is no more elasticity in it. It just simply breaks or crumbles. Mm-hmm. And really, you have one set of vocal cords. Why on earth would you risk that?
Yeah.
There are exceptions to every rule. I'm not saying that there aren't a couple famous singers out there who use use drugs and alcohol as a means to perform and they're not wildly successful. But that is not the norm. That is not the millions of people out there with talented voices that are doing that. It is the exception. Now, those are 3 vocal hacks that do not work and they're really dumb. And there are many more that we're going to cover. But if you want to know some vocal hacks that will change your life and change your voice, and one that's really surprising actually, click on this next video now.